I didn't grow up with much, but I had freedom. Bristol wasn't the kind of place people talked about. It wasn't on postcards or travel blogs. Just a small town where time moved slowly, where everyone knew who taught fourth grade or who ran the gas station. Kids biked without helmets. Mailboxes were shaped like cows. And if you sneezed, the whole block said bless you before the echo faded. My parents were rarely home. Mom worked night shifts at a hospital 2 towns over, and Dad was usually halfway across the state, driving a semi. Their love showed up in small ways, text messages, sticky notes on leftover food. But I got used to late dinners, locking the doors myself and setting my own bedtime. That left a lot of room for boredom, silence, and my best friend, Caleb. He was like the brother I never had. Loud, clever, and always a little reckless. We grew up side by side, building forts in the woods, launching bottle rockets, and staying up too late on YouTube. By 14, our lives revolve around video games, junk food, and awkward attempts at figuring out which girls liked us back. That summer, Caleb invited me to a sleepover at his new house on Woodland Avenue. The place looked tired, peeling blue siding, an overgrown yard, and a sagging roofline. But I didn't think much of it. It was just another house. Same Caleb. We set up in his room, PS4 controllers in hand, losing track of hours until hunger pushed us out to Big AL's deli. When we came back, something felt wrong. The house seemed hollow, like sound itself had been drained out. By nightfall, the quiet pressed down harder, heavier. Around 10 p.m., I went downstairs for water. The floor creaked under me. The house groaned. And then I heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate. She emerged from the kitchen. A drawer slid open. I bolted upstairs. Caleb didn't believe me at first, until he heard it too. The pacing, the silence, the sudden rattle of the doorknob. Then came the pounding. Wood cracking. The frame is splintering. We fought with the stuck window until it finally gave. Caleb climbed out first. I followed, pain searing through my shoulder as I hit the ground wrong. When I looked back, I saw him, standing in the window, a man with sunken cheeks, greasy hair, and eyes stretched too wide, like blinking was optional. We ran barefoot through the dark, screaming at neighbors' doors until Mr. Ramirez let us in and called 911. Police found muddy footprints, open drawers, scuff marks, and a missing steak knife. They said he must have slipped in while we were gone and waited. Caleb's family moved away soon after. I haven't seen him since. But I still remember that man's face, and the way he didn't look away. Tay's silence in Sandbrook wasn't normal. It wasn't the quiet hum of a peaceful house. It had weight. It pressed against your chest, slow and suffocating. I didn't notice it at first. I thought it was just the move. One week I was in New Jersey, brick sidewalks, flickering streetlights, and a neighbor's dog that barked at everything. The next, I was cramming my life into plastic bins while my mom wrapped dishes in newspaper, and my dad called it an opportunity. We landed at 118 Hollow Birch Lane. No neighbors, no mailbox, just a gravel driveway cracking under the moving truck and pine trees crowding out the light. The porch leaned to one side, a shutter hung crooked, and the air inside smelled old, like the house had been waiting for too long. Within a week, my parents were gone, back on the road for work. I stood alone in the doorway with a carton of takeout, realizing I didn't even know how to light the pilot on the stove. At school, I was invisible, or worse, a curiosity. Everyone already had their circles, their inside jokes, and their history. I was just that girl from out of state. And through it all, the silence of Sandbrook followed me, heavy, watchful, like the house itself was listening. The first time I saw the house, it looked almost bored, like it had been waiting too long for someone to remember existed. Funny thing is, I don't remember that spring for its color or warmth. I remember the silence, not the peaceful kind, but the heavy kind, the kind that feels like it's holding its breath, the kind that watches. We moved to Eatonville the year everything fell apart. After my dad's affairs surfaced like a dead thing bloating in the sun, my mom packed up our lives into the back of an old CRV and drove north as if the ocean itself was chasing her. She barely spoke, just turned up the radio and gripped the wheel tight, like strangling the past was the only way to kill it. I was 16, angry and trying not to care. San Diego shrank in the rear view. Friends, school, the beach, everything normal, until all that was left was pine trees and smoke. Eatonville wasn't built for outsiders. Its streets were narrow, its houses crouched like they were hiding secrets, and its people wore that small-town weariness, the kind that says they've already decided who you are before you open your mouth. Mom called it a fresh start. I hated that phrase. New didn't mean better. Sometimes new just meant you hadn't found where the cracks were yet. The rental was cold. The heater rattled like bones. The windows groaned when it rained. And the boxes we never unpacked made it feel less like a home and more like a waiting room. Mom worked double shifts at the clinic and came back too tired to talk. I haunted the school halls like a ghost. No one noticed. By the second week, I'd given up lunch in the library, earbuds in with nothing playing. It was fine. Or I told myself it was. Then Hazel sat down across from me and ruined my plan. She was odd, but not in the way people try to be. Oversized sweaters, chewed-up pens, and a kind of calm that felt earned, like she'd already survived something and carried the secret quietly with her. She didn't force conversation. She just nudged the silence until it shaped itself into something you could live in. "You hate it here, too?" she asked once, flipping through Sylvia Plath. "Is it that obvious?" I muttered. Too, she smiled without showing her teeth. Only to people who know what it looks like. From there was books, then music, then everything else. Hazel listened in a way that made you want to keep talking. She was the first person in months who didn't make me feel like I was being observed or graded. Our friendship grew slowly, like moss creeping over stone. So when she invited me to sleep over at her uncle's farmhouse one Friday, I said yes. It felt like the kind of thing normal girls did. Birch Mill Farm sat 15 minutes outside town, hidden behind a wall of ancient trees. The gravel road curved like it was trying to keep a secret. When the house finally came into view, it didn't look haunted. It just looked tired, like it had outlived everyone who ever loved it. The 2-story farmhouse leaned with age, paint peeling pale against the dark woods. The porch sagged, the windows bulged with old glass, and the bar beside it tilted like it had one bad hip. And for the first time, I wondered what Hazel had really invited me into. The field behind the farmhouse was covered in a fog, so low and still, it looked painted on the earth. Hazel's Uncle Leon met us on the porch. He was tall and hunched, with shoulders bent like warped beams of wood. He gave me a nod, nothing more, and slipped back inside. "He's not much of a talker," Hazel said, brushing past me with her bag. "Don't take it personally." Inside, the air smelled like cedar and dust. No television, just shelves stacked with brittle novels. A fire already smoldered in the hearth, its glow stretching across a couch layered with patchwork quilts. Every step creaked like the house had its own voice. We baked cookies in the cramped kitchen, while a jazz record played from the parlor. Everything felt curated, like Hazel had arranged the scene and invited me to play my part. Later, we sprawled on the rug as she opened a battered scrapbook. Black and white faces stared back, stone still, unsmiling. "That's my great-grandmother," Hazel said, pointing to a woman in front of the barn. Her eyes looked hollow. She froze to death in the field. She turned the page. "My cousin. He drowned in the well when he was 8. I laughed nervously. "Do you ever think about showing vacation photos like normal people?" Hazel only shrugged. We had more funerals and vacations. At 10, the lights flickered. Hazel said it was just old wiring, but the air felt heavier, like history pressing down. We laid out blankets in the living room. Hazel drifted off, but I stayed awake, ears tuned to the strange pulse of the house. Then came the knock. Not at the door, at the bathroom window. 3 sharp raps. Too high for anyone to reach without a ladder. My phone had no signal. The air felt colder, threading under my skin. Past midnight, the footsteps began. Slow, dragging. Furniture scraping overhead. "Leon." I whispered. Hazel opened her eyes. "That's not him." Her voice was flat, certain. The record player switched on, though the cord dangled loose. Music bled into the room. A whisper followed, my name, breathy and faint. Hazel rose. "I need to show you something." Upstairs, the air thickened. In the attic, she pulled aside a trunk, pried up a loose board, and revealed a photo. It was me, standing in front of the farmhouse. Same pajamas I wear now. Same face. "You're not the first girl to stay here," Hazel whispered. "Maya was here last year. She never came back." The attic door slammed. Downstairs, Warptons began to play. In the living room, the fireplace roared, though no wood burned. Above it, dozens of photographs hung. Different girls, different years, the same house. We ran, but the front door was locked, the key gone. In the hallway mirror, a tall, faceless figure raised his hand and knocked 3 times. We fled through the cellar, chains rattling as Hazel forced the storm doors open. By dawn, the house was empty. No photos, no music, no Leon. Sometimes I dream of that photo, the one of me smiling at something just out of frame. And I wonder how long before the house remembers the ones who got away. After my dad left, my mom and I lost everything. House, car, stability. All we could afford was Norwalk Apartments, a crumbling brick box on the edge of town. Unit 6F smelled of bleach and damp carpets. The heater rattled like it was dying. My mom worked nights, leaving me alone with silence. Not the peaceful kind, but a silence that listened back. That's when I met Madison Taylor. She lived 2 doors down in 6B, loud, fast-talking, bracelets clinking, a skull lamp glowing in her messy room. She invited me in with popcorn and horror movies. I said yes because being invisible in my own apartment felt worse. Around 10:30, a bang echoed in the hallway. Something heavy dragged across the floor, paused, then dragged again. 60 guy, mad shrugged. He argues with himself. You'll get used to it. But later, when the power cut out, the silence deepened. Then came the knock. Not at the door, at the closet. The door, jammed shut for months, now stood cracked open. Madison flicked her flashlight through the gap. Boxes, coats, dust, and breathing. Wet, heavy, human breathing. She slammed it shut and shoved a chair in front. At 3 a.m., footsteps crept across the floor while she slept beside me. The microwave beeped in the kitchen, though it wasn't plugged in. Muddy footprints led back to where I'd been lying. When the police came, the closet was open. Inside was a cloth bag filled with Polaroids. Each photo showed a different girl lying on the same mattress I just slept on. Weeks later, Madison's family vanished. 6B sat empty, but the mattress remained. Some places don't haunt because of what happened in them. They haunt because they want it to happen again. By 16, home felt like a war zone, my parents orbiting each other with frozen silence. When Shane, my history project partner, asked if I wanted to crash at his place, I said yes without thinking. He lived at the edge of Fox Hollow, where half-built houses rotted in weeds and concrete bones. His place was the last before the woods. Inside was normal, pizza, video games, and his beagle snoring by the couch. For a few hours, it felt safe. Around 11, the mood shifted. Shane kept checking the windows. "I thought I saw someone by the garage last week," he said. "Didn't tell my parents." His voice was light, but his eyes kept darting to the glass. The silence stretched, heavy. Outside, the wind moved the trees, but something else waited in the dark, and that was only the beginning. Why not? Shane rubbed his hands on his jeans. They'd just say it was a neighbor, or a deer, or that I imagined it. I didn't laugh, but I almost did. Not because it was funny, because that small part of your brain, the part that still believes in monsters under bed, wants to fill silence with anything safer. "Probably just raccoons," I said. "Yeah," Shane muttered, though he didn't sound convinced. That's when Baxter barked. One sharp, startled sound. He ran to the front window, tail tucked, ears twitching. Then silence, just staring. We told ourselves it was nothing. The wind, a deer, maybe the old ducks down by the creek. But neither of us relaxed. Not after the tapping. Soft, deliberate. 3 knocks against the front window. Not the kind of knock that expects an answer. The kind that already knows you're inside. We froze. Shane grabbed the remote and muted the TV. The glow flickered shadows across the walls. Tap, tap, tap. Then silence. Baxter whimpered low and slunk behind the couch. Shane crept to a window and pulled the curtain just an inch. He stopped, his face drained. "What?" I whispered. He didn't answer, just backed away and waved me down. I crawled beside him and risked a look. A man stood 10 feet away, facing the woods, perfectly still, hands in his pockets. He wasn't moving, wasn't speaking, just waiting, pretending not to know we were behind him. Then another knock, this time on the side window. Same rhythm, 3 soft taps. No footsteps, no gravel crunching, just a sound, moving like he glided from one side of the house to the other. We locked every door, killed the lights, sat in silence. The house ticked and breathed around us. Baxter whimpered beneath the table, crunching gravel, slow footsteps. Then a voice, calm, male, steady. "Jake." Shane's eyes snapped to mine. The voice again, "Jake." I saw the light, thought I'd stop by. Not angry, not afraid, just casual, like someone at the wrong house. But he didn't leave. Shane whispered, "We need to go." We grabbed what we could, a bat, a flashlight, a dull utility knife, and crept toward the laundry room. One window, one exit. Every shadow looked alive. Every mirror looked like something waiting to look back. Halfway there, we froze. The man was at the back door now, hoodie up, face hidden in shadow. Not knocking, not forcing entry, just watching. We slammed the laundry room door, shoved the dryer against it, crouched in silence. The house creaked like it was breathing. Outside, a hand dragged across the siding, fingernails trailing the wall. We waited. Hours stretched, or maybe minutes. At 4:10 a.m., headlights cut across the curtains. Car door slammed. Voices. Shane bolted. His parents had come home early. Relief and disbelief flickered across his face. We told him everything. His dad shrugged. Probably just a hiker. People get turned around out here. Shane didn't argue. But later, when his mom said she'd check the cameras, he whispered what I already knew. "We don't have any." 3 days later, he texted me a photo. A folded note was left under the deck. "Didn't mean to scare you. Thought you were someone else. See you around." No name. No apology. I've kept that photo, not because I want to remember, but because memory lies. That man wasn't looking for Jake. He was looking for someone. Anyone. And I still wonder what happens when the next door opens. Would you answer and knock that soft? Story 2. Ben's basement. Nothing ever really happened in Larchfield, Ohio. Same sidewalks. Same lawns. Same names on every mailbox. You were either born into it or dragged out. Until Ben Langley showed up 2 months into 6th grade. He carried a beat-up skateboard, stickers peeling. Same gray hoodie every day, cuffs chewed black. When Ms. Danbury asked him to introduce himself, he just shrugged. Ben. That was it. Rumors spread before lunch. Expelled for pulling a knife, mom in rehab. He didn't confirm, didn't deny. Just let the stories pile up. He wasn't popular, but he wasn't ignored. By Friday, he walked up to my table. Me, Charlie, Jamal, Kevin, and Hunter. Sleepover. Tomorrow. You in. It wasn't a question. More like a challenge. We all said yes. His house at the far end of Harris Street. Siding stained, no porch light, no curtains. My mom hesitated when she dropped me off. I waved her away before she could ask questions. Ben's mom answered barefoot, robe slipping, cigarette burning low. Eyes wide, watery. "Shoes off," she muttered. "The basement's that way." The basement was half finished. Cement floor, wood panel walls, buzzing lamp, and a TV on a crate. Sleeping bags in a circle like some strange ritual. No pizza, no snacks. Just Ben on the couch, flipping channels. "Is your mom always like that?" I asked. "She's just tired." That was the last normal thing anyone said. Around 9, Ben dropped a dented metal box in the circle. Inside, 3 knives, chipped and stained, some firecrackers, and a photo, glossy paper, curling edges, someone tied to a chair, face slashed over with red ink. "Dude," Charlie whispered. What is this? Found in the crawl space, Ben said. We laughed it off too quickly. Fake. Halloween prop, right? But Ben just stared. You want to see where I found it? We didn't, but no one said no. He pried open a panel under stairs. The smell hit first. Rot, damp wood, something sweet and wrong. Blankets, maybe a duffel bag, something shoved deep into the shadows. Back at the circle, nobody spoke. At midnight, something thudded upstairs. Slow dragging followed. A door slammed. Don't worry, Ben said flatly. He's just mad. Your dad? Someone asked. He shook his head. No, my mom. The basement door opened. The stairs groaned. A man descended. Pale, barefoot, shirtless. Hollow chest. Eyes too wide, too still. He crossed the room, silent, and sat in the corner, watching. That's my uncle, Ben said. He lives with us sometimes. No one moved. Kevin whispered, I want to go home. So did I. I texted my dad under the blanket. Come get me, please. Now. The reply was fast. 10 minutes. Be outside. I climbed the stairs. Didn't look back. The living room was dark. The TV flickered static. The cigarette smoldered unattended. Outside, cold air hit my lungs. My dad pulled up. I didn't say a word. Ben was gone by Monday. So were Kevin and Charlie. Rumors swirled. Police, CPS, something in a trash bag, but nothing certain. Weeks later, I walked past his house. Windows boarded. Yellow notice on the door. Condemned. Charlie asked me once, You think the photo is real? I never answered, but deep down I knew Ben wasn't trying to scare us. He was trying to show us. He just didn't know how to ask for help. That's the part one can't forget. The smell, the silence, the man in the corner, and the truth I still can't shake. Sometimes a monster isn't what you find in the dark. It's what grows when no one bothers to turn on the light.